Hello. Hi, good evening. Welcome to my presentation tonight. I have been talking about ways that governments can raise tax to be able to support their expenditure, their operations, their developmental programs. And this is against a backdrop of several years of dependence on Western countries, European countries, America, etc., etc. And just in recent weeks, America has withdrawn the support that they give to the world, the U.S. aid, U.S. international development. So it's important. It's important that African African organizations or African countries. I meant it's important that African countries think more deeply about ways that they can raise revenue without relying on these external donors. And now the U.S. has cut aid to different countries around the world. All right. So this discussion should be well appreciated because there is money to be raised from our countries. We just don't have the wherewithal to do it. We don't seem to think deep enough about ways that we can raise revenue. I remember when the president of Ghana recently took office and he outlined a number of developmental programs. One of the questions that were asked was how he was going to raise revenue, where the money was going to come from, particularly against the backdrop of donors withdrawing their funds and their support. And so the thinking is that if we do not have donor funds, then it becomes difficult for us to be able to mobilize revenue to support our development programs. Now, that is not the truth. That only speaks to the facts, but the truth is that we can raise revenue internally and a lot more. And one of the reasons why I argue this way is that in Ghana and in many African countries, we have seen several instances where revenue targets have been exceeded. So the question I asked is, were the revenue authorities ambitious enough? Did they know they could raise this much? So if they are always exceeding their target, it means that they are not thinking hard enough. They are not working with ambitious targets, right? So there is money in the country. And one area that I've identified that I want to talk about this night, or this evening, is the area of offenses, traffic offenses. In Ghana, I believe, as in many other African countries, the police earn a lot of money from passengers, sometimes through extortion and corruption, and also threatening to take the customers to court. And most motorists know that they cannot be taken to court. In other words, they fear the courts, fear the court system, lengthy procedures, and so on and so forth. So they get scared when the police know, when the police mention court, and the police know it, so they play very much into that. Now, what can be done is to look at the range of traffic offenses and classify them, categorize them into major offenses and minor offenses. In fact, they can be minor offenses, moderately major offenses, and then major offenses. They can be categorized into 2 or 3 or even 4. So that it's only very serious offenses that should be reserved for the court system. But all other offenses should have fines, on the spot fine. For example, if someone drives recklessly, if someone parks at the wrong place, if someone overtakes wrongly, if someone uses the hard shoulder instead of remaining in traffic, if someone's vehicle documents have expired. In Ghana, we talk about roadworthy certificate. If it expired, if the person has not renewed the roadworthy certificate, the person is driving without insurance, and several other traffic offenses. Now, the government should be able to, or the tax authorities, the police, working with the police, should be able to categorize the offenses and assign penalties to these offenses, so that if you, for example, if you speed, what should be the penalty? And if you speed at a certain limit, if the place is 50 kilometers per hour and you are going 60, how much should you pay? You are going 70, how much should you pay? You are going 80, how much should you pay? So speeding should not just attract a standard or a rough figure or a flat figure. It should be categorized based on the degree of offense, so that if you are speeding, if you are going at 60 miles per hour, you should pay much less than someone going at 70 and 80 in that order. So there's quite some money that can be raised from these sort of sources. Okay, and then of course, if your paper expired, okay, despite for 1 month, you should pay some money. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You've been driving without insurance for 1 week, how much should you pay? For 1 month, how much should you pay? For 3 months, how much should you pay? All of these should be categorized and then penalties determined, which should be properly documented and communicated to the public with a lot of public education, so that everybody will know that if I'm driving without insurance for 1 week, this is how much I pay. My roadworthy certificate expires within 1 week or 1 month, this is how much I pay. And if I'm driving without a license, this is how much I pay, and so on and so forth. So if my license expired and I have not renewed, and I'm driving a month or 2 months or 1 week or 1 year, how much I should pay? All of this should be categorized and then penalties determined, so that the public will be sufficiently educated on these matters. So it means that these monies will no longer go into the pockets of police officers. I'm afraid at the moment it's the police officers that get these monies, and it seems to be like a syndicate, because they will normally place a junior officer somewhere, and the senior officers will be hiding somewhere, or probably they will strategically locate themselves somewhere. They will not be by the junior officers who are, and then when you meet the junior officers, they will tell you, my seniors are just around. So when you make, for example, if you commit an offense and you are asking them to let you go, they say, no, if it's me alone, I can let you go, but my seniors are around. They've also seen you, so you have to do something. I don't pay bribe to police. I don't corrupt the police. I don't let them extort money from me. But let me give you an experience. I was last week. I was rushing for an appointment. I was going to speak at a certain place, and I was driving, and there was traffic light ahead, but just before the traffic light there was a right turn. So when I saw that the traffic light was turning red, I decided to use the right turn. As soon as I turned right, the policeman stopped me, and he asked me, he said I was wrong, I had committed an offense. Deep down in my heart, I knew it was not an offense, but you know, these police people, they don't, if you are going to argue with them, it's going to take you the whole of your time. So just to be able to save myself, my time, I said, okay, I'm sorry, you are right. Okay, I'm very sorry. I'm not a lawbreaker, but I'm in a hurry for an appointment. So what should I do? I'm very sorry, I'm not challenging you. It's okay, I'll process you for court. I said, what, for this offense? Because I know that it's actually not an offense, but since you say it's an offense, I cannot challenge you. So what are you asking me to do? He said, well, if you don't want to go to court, and by the way, if you go to the court, you have to get a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. And then the fine is 2,800 or something. But between me and you, we can do something. And I said, so what should I do? I normally don't pay bribe, but I was rushing for an appointment. I didn't want this guy to waste my time. So he said, what do you want? He said, give me 500 cedis. I said, no, I don't have 500 cedis. I pulled out the money in my pocket. I showed it to him. I said, okay, I can give you this one. So I was forced to give it to him to let me go. Otherwise, I was going to miss my appointment. So this is what happened in a very corrupt system. People are compelled sometimes to change their value just for convenience sake. And I think I will not be alone in this game. And so it's important that governments, tax officials can work with the police, with the DVLA, to determine these matters, and there's a substantial amount of revenue that can be raised from these arrangements. So please, let's think hard enough. There's money in our countries. Let us think hard enough. Let's think deep enough. We can find solutions. We can reclaim our economic independence, and the fiscal issues, fiscal constraints we have been having. Very limited fiscal space. The fiscal space can be expanded. We can do more without depending on external donors or loans. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation tonight. Thank you for watching. I'll come your way again, God willing, on Sunday. God bless you. Bye-bye.